Court will come to order. It is Thursday, June the 6th, 2024. It's 9 o'clock in the morning, and the Kerr County Commissioners Court is now in session in a budget workshop. And just to remind everyone, in a workshop, we do not receive public input. This is a discussion between the department head and officials as we discuss how to run your offices. The public will be given the opportunity to tell us what they think about what we're saying on these YouTube budget workshops, beginning Monday. This is the third of the budget workshops. We had one last week, one on Monday, I think it was, and this one. And I think what you're going to find is we go deeper into the workshop and public agenda items for the next month or so. Things are going to get a little bit hotter, kind of like the weather outside, and pencils will get sharper. But this is the last budget workshop that we're going to have before I submit my proposed budget. I will have listened to all the asks and considered them. Put together a proposed budget, which will not be what everything's asked for. I can tell you that right now. I think everybody prepares their ask with that in mind. And then it will be up to the court to take it apart and put it back together. So with that, it just kind of gives you the framework of where we are. I would ask that everyone keep that in mind as we discuss today. No decisions are being made today. This is a listening experience. So, with that, first one on the agenda is juvenile probation. Let's have 570.
Good morning again, Judge, Commissioners. Okay.
You got lucky. You get in and out, man.
I know. I don't know how I did it. I got a tip off, but that's great. Yeah. Get to get it done.
So, where do you want to start?
Judge, wherever you want to. The biggest
we had
thing.
The juvenile board meeting was last week, week before last.
Yeah.
And last year we were able to take $100,000 out of the juvenile budget for housing. And this year, it's put back in.
Well, I figured
He's going to tell us about it.
Short version is, you can look at the numbers. There's nothing too significant. We need a little increases here and there, but the big thing is housing. Again, as the judge says, we took out 100. We're going to be asking for that back because we need it for the single biggest cost and the biggest problem we have are our housing costs. And so we have two types of housing. We have pre-adjudication, which is detention. When we initially detain a kid and arrest him and place him in a facility, and then post-adjudication. Those facilities, I mean, we were, pre-COVID, we were $95 a day for some of those, up to maybe $148 a day. Right now, we're looking at about, the low end's about $125 up to almost $375 a day. Most of our facilities are $200 to $300 a day range for placing kids in facilities. That's the expense, and it is absolutely a problem statewide. The legislature's aware of it, the LDB, the Legislative Budget Board's aware of it. Everyone is aware that these costs are skyrocketing. And the cost to put a kid in a facility is it's outrageous. From where it's jumped pre-COVID is, we're looking at 3 times the cost pretty much right now. Those costs are continuing to go. We're just now getting our contracts for next year. And from the current cost, we're seeing increases coming up in most of those as well. Every year they're increasing them, and it's not by like 5% or 10%, it's 25%, 35% type of increases annually that we're seeing. 35 might be a little high, probably 25 annually is what we're seeing. That is the significant thing. I don't know if there's any other items you all want to talk about or look at, but that's the one.
And Jason, share with them the shortage of placement opportunities.
Detention crisis.
There are just not enough detention facilities statewide.
Exactly.
So you've got more counties, and we're a relatively small county, medium-sized county. More counties trying to put the kids in those placements, and so all they do, if they're coming out of Houston or Dallas, they just owe another $50 a day.
So like Bell County is
Yeah.
They're we're $350 a day for detention, for that, and they charge it because they can get it, including us, But what we obviously try to do is, if we have to put in that kid in that facility, the next day we're calling all of our facilities, 15 that we have contracts with roughly for detention. We're calling them all saying, can you take this kid because we got to get him out of this $350 a day facility.
Let's use Bell County as an example. It's pretty much slap dab in the center of the state. Okay, well, you know what I'm talking about.
Yep.
They're the most expensive in the state, but they're also the most centrally located. For us to send a kid to Bell County, we gotta send them up the day before, stay overnight, bring the kid back, and then when you take them back after the hearing or whatever, it's driving up the travel expenses, the personnel expenses. It's that's the situation.
When there's hearings in the future, they have to be here for that, or is it, I mean, with the adults, don't they have to come back and forth during from the facilities if they're there for a length of time?
Yes, the procedure is that, and just like today is normally a juvenile day, we don't have any hearings. But if somebody's coming before me for the first time for detention or even a subsequent detention, the protocol is we set these hearings, we try to set these hearings in the afternoon so there's time for them to be able to travel there in the morning. That's why you see it on the 1:30 docket, except when we have exceptional circumstances. And so the juvenile probation, your drivers have to leave Kerrville in time to get to placement, and it's slow to get somebody out of jail. Get them in the car and get them back here in time for the hearing. When the hearing's over, if they have been detained, that person has to drive them back to the facility and then come back home. And for Bell County, it is just a nightmare for us to put the kids out there. It's the most expensive all the way around, but they have the openings. I would say, we've had several months at a time where we didn't have anything available. And I had to release kids, some of them violent, back into the community because there was no placement available. There's an acute shortage of placement beds for young girls. That was the toughest for us. And some of them sometimes are the meanest to say it.
The judge and I can say that, and I know that you're aware of it, that the detention crisis, and that's what it is, we are routinely called by law enforcement to detain kids, and we don't have a place to put them. Because we'll call 15, 16, 17 facilities, and all of them say no, we're full. And that happens, and when I say, there's a time that we might get those calls every day, and that PD or SO are calling us and saying, we need to detain this kid, and we call all of our facilities, and they all say, no, we don't have a bed available. That happens, it just does, and it's not pretty, but it happens. And so that kid goes back home, even though they really, really need to be detained, either for the safety of the public or the safety of that child. Oftentimes, we just don't have the beds available. So when we do have them available, we have to fight for them. I mean, there was an email that came out yesterday that went out statewide. Victoria County had 5 male beds and 5 female beds. I guarantee you they're full this morning because everyone in the state is calling trying to get those beds because they need places to put them. TJJD doesn't have beds. We don't have beds. It's a significant problem, and the LBB is aware of it, and they're throwing money at it. They gave a lot of money to TJJD to try to do something about it, but it doesn't, to get new beds online to help solve the problem, and it's going up and up. There are no new beds that come online.
Are any new in the queue to come online? Anything under construction?
Not now. It'll be discussed in the legislature, obviously, but it's at this point in time, no, sir. I mean,
So this is at least a 3-year problem.
I would think, yes, sir. Yeah, I would agree.
Minimal.
And on the flip side of that coin, what a lot of people don't understand is there's a huge advocacy group movement to not detain juveniles at all. And they lobby very strongly in Austin. So the legislatures aren't listening to this. This is just a one-sided problem. Listen on the other, maybe you just ought to give it all up. And quite frankly, our juvenile court, as long as I've been on it, we don't want to do that. We think there are some detentions that we need to do. We had one, I can't go into it, but I sent a little girl back into a family where she threatened to kill the people I sent her home to. That's a fact. We had no choice. Prosecutor had no choice. Juvenile probation had no choice. I had no choice. It turned out okay, but All you can do on that is just pray.
That young lady, there was not a facility in the state. I was dealing with the number 2 in charge at DFPS. I was dealing with the number 2 in charge at HHS. We were in meetings, Zoom meetings at the time, where we had heads of, top officials of state agencies, and they're saying, we can't lock this child up. And I'm saying, great, I agree. Where do I need to put her? Because if I put her at home, she's gonna stab the relative that she's already tried to stab, and I don't have a detention bed for her. There was not a facility in the state that would take her, and it was a waiting game until we could get her into prison, TJJD. And by the grace of God, she didn't, seriously injure someone else or herself. But, we call, and in these facilities, kids get a reputation, and they say, oh, we know this kid, we're not taking him. It happens routinely. Now, that's an extreme case, but it does happen.
I hope that's a one-in-a-lifetime case.
Me too, we don't want to deal with that one again.
But that's the reason for that.
Okay.
What's the capital outlay?
And
Vehicle. We need a new vehicle for the transports because we're going back and forth so much, and we have one that we just surplus this week that's a limit. It's a van, and it's breaking down all the time, and no one can seem to fix it. So it's a transport vehicle.
Another van?
Yeah, probably not, either a transit or like a Ford Transit or Expedition Suburban type vehicle. Probably not the 15-passenger van, but something kind of in the middle of that.
Jason, what about the professional audit fees? I mean,
Yeah.
Is that something that occurs every couple of years or 3 years, or what is it?
Exactly. So the statute says that we have, you nailed it.
That's what I'm asking, isn't it?
Yeah, the statute says we're supposed to have them annually. Actually, it's a grant contract, it's not a statute. Our grant contract with TJJD says annually. The TJJD has been waiving them every other year because of the cost. And used to be there were $1,500, $1,800 to do these single independent audits that are required by TJJD, required by the state. And so we have to do them every other year. So every other year you'll see this number, and it just goes again up and up and up.
we had 3 at the last, more meeting.
We've had 3 audits, not this independent audit, yes, sir, but yeah, we had 3. Within the last couple of months, we were audited by TJJD, DPS, and TCOL, all 3. But this one is the one we have to go and pay for.
But the good news is we got stellar findings.
Very fortunate.
Anything else for Jason?
Thank you.
Next is court-appointed civil attorney, CPS. That's tab 407. This is the most underheard group in our budget.
Well, I appreciate you saying that, Judge Kerr. I met with you all a couple of years
Understand your
ago.
frustrations.
I'm sure we can relate. I'm Judge Falkenberg. I have the Child Protection Court of South Texas. We have 7 counties, Gillespie to Uvalde, and Kerr is right in the middle of that. And I was here 2 years ago talking about I think we have a line item in Kerr. We don't have a budget per se. And we went around to all 7 of our counties in 2022 and discussed how there hadn't been an increase in fee payments for court-appointed attorneys that represent children and parents in decades. And of the 7 counties that I preside over, 5 counties gave us a raise, or authorized me based on a budget increase to increase my hourly rates. The hourly rate is within my purview to set, but I've got to set it according to the budget that I have.
And what is that hourly rate right now?
In Kerr, it's 70.
Right.
In the rest of our counties, it's either 90 for in court or 60 for out of court. Judge Evans in Bandera County gave me 80. I never heard from Gillespie. And then you said we were going to look at it again in another year or 2, so here we are.
And it was the most professional request short of begging.
I do try.
I'm familiar with these problems.
I have some notes from the attorneys they wanted me to share with you. And so I'm going to paraphrase them. I'm not going to bore you with reading it all, but I can also send as a follow-up numbers if you need it. But I think a lot of the numbers that I gave you a few years ago, they really haven't changed much. We're still at $70 an hour. But here's some requests. And I think last time I was here, I said, please don't laugh at my attorney's requests. I understand what bounds we live under here, but they have some interesting numbers that I think will at least get you to understand where they're coming from. One of them said it should be at least $150 an hour with a minimum $120. Cost of living has increased relative to the hourly rate for an attorney is barely even $150 an hour. I understand these are court appointments, so the rates differ from private rates. However, the rates still need to allow an attorney to make ends meet. Another said, I think it would be reasonable to request if Kerr and Gillespie, but we're not here about Gillespie, would be willing to do $90 an hour to match what is paid in most of the surrounding counties. I also got some examples of other counties and what they pay. Mills County for the same type of work is $100 an hour in and out of court. Lampasas County, $100 an hour in court, $75 an hour out of court. Burnett, Blanco, Llano, and San Saba counties, $90 in court, $75 out of court. So what I'm concerned about is the folks on my wheel, they're people I've worked with both when I was practicing law and since I became a judge. They're very qualified people. They do a very thankless job, and they do it very well. A lot of folks think that court-appointed attorneys are doing it because they can't do anything else, and it couldn't be further from the truth. They're doing it because they want to preserve families and they want to help children, and they work really hard and they work really long. We were up there yesterday until almost 5 o'clock. I had 8 cases on the docket. If I could get them $90 an hour and I could get a budget increase of $15,000 or $20,000 to cover that, then that would be amazing. And I think it would really show them that Kerr County values their service. I'm of the opinion that, and I'm sure everybody else in here is too, nobody's never heard this before, the children are our future. And I've had lots of children and lots of parents come through our court that on the face of it looked like they were in big trouble, but they got the services they needed and they got the legal representation they needed, and now their lives are much, much better. And so I think every time we put $1 into one of these cases, we put $1 into our future. So that's my request.
Tell me again, the counties?
I have
Bandera.
Gillespie, Bandera, Kerr, Kendall, Real, Uvalde, and Medina.
And let me make sure I understand. Kerr and Gillespie are the lowest,
Yes, sir.
and we're at $70 an hour.
Yes, sir.
And most of them are at $90 an hour for in-court, $75 out of court. That would include Kendall,
Kendall is $90 across the board.
okay?
Bandera is $90 across, or $80 across the board, I'm sorry. Uvalde is 90 in person, or in court, excuse me.
90, 75,
They're 60.
60?
The 75 was surrounding counties. Those were examples. Every county of mine is either 90 across the board or 90 in court, 60 out.
And Medina is,
Medina is 90 across the board. Uvalde is the only one that is 90-60. Everybody else is 90 with the exception of Bandera, which is 80, and then Kerr and Gillespie are both 70. And again, I can send this all in writing, whatever you want. I can send it to Ms. Granstead.
if you wouldn't mind, I would appreciate that.
Absolutely.
And Gillespie was how much an hour again?
70.
70? Well, we don't want the Germans for that. Anything else for Judge Falkenberg?
Appreciate you coming.
I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Okay, next is County Attorney, 475. Tab 475.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, where do you want to start?
Well, I've got 2 requests that are different from our budget from last year, or this current year. One of them is an employee request who is an 18, and his position has shifted from hot check coordinator, which will see a reduction in that hot check budget, more like a legal assistant. We have a full-time intake attorney and an investigator now this year who, with their work, along with our other staff, kicking out more cases at a faster rate than we had in the past. We hadn't been fully staffed for a little while. So his job has really shifted to more of a legal assistant, and the legal assistants across the county are at 21. So my request is to shift his position from an 18 to a 21.
And that is that line 100?
That is the 9,700
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
with the
I'm
roll-ups.
looking at the funds over here. Yeah, got it.
And the other request that is different from past years is to get us a case management system, and that's the capital outlay item that is $2,700, or just over $2,700. That is a tech share program that will not only expedite case intake, but it will make more efficient the discovery with defense attorneys, case management within our office. This is a need and not a want from our office. We need,
27,000, right?
yes, 27,000, yes.
Yeah. Could SB 22 money been used for that?
No, sir.
No.
SB 22 funds
That's
included in this at all.
Salary. Salary.
Salary only for our office, yes, sir.
They're different, they can't be used, they're very specific, it's on another budget.
Yeah, it's coming up.
Okay,
but-
so the public understands, SB 22 is a source of funding for law enforcement and prosecutors, and it was passed by the legislature, intended to help rural counties that are understaffed, undermanned. And those funds were appropriated by the legislature and awarded or funded directly to the law enforcement office and the prosecutor's office. Did not go through Kerr County, it went directly to them. And that's what we talked about last. The sheriff last year, if you recall, had $500,000 that he used to try to do the recruit and retain stipend. Well, that's where that 500 came from. That was his SB 22 money that he pledged to us, that he put it in our fund balance once he got it, and he did.
Right.
But that's what that money is.
And the comptroller has specifically said disallowed expenses are software, increasing salaries of current employees outside of those authorized in the statute, contract employees, overtime pay, hazard pay, and another. I guess I didn't bring the other
That
side of
just
that.
confirms what we're telling you. That's the restrictions they put on it. And those funds were allocated directly by the elected officials, the elected prosecutors and elected law enforcement, sheriffs, etc. So we really don't have anything to do with that.
And another thing that's important is that we're not allowed to offset
Yes.
our current salaries with those funds. This
And-
is in addition to what we're paying, we can't reduce to make up the difference.
And the tech share program, the $27,000, we have asked and put in an application because it is an authorized use of ARPA funds that we've requested that from the court.
Now, we did have an executive session where we discussed things. We did. And one of the things that I don't have clear in my mind today is I know the 216 and the county attorney are very much promoting this software app. I guess it's an app. App. I wasn't sure if it's correctly what it is.
Sure.
It's a program.
Program.
And but the sheriff and 198 are not. And we've got the 198 and the 216 here. I'm just trying. What's the debate about the use of the software program?
The software, well, the program that we would intend to use, it is not, the sheriff's input on this program isn't something that we take into consideration when we want to manage our cases in our office. Now, something that I don't know that the sheriff knows, I just learned that he is opposed to us getting this program, is that it it talks to WatchGuard, what he uses, so they will work together seamlessly to get cases from the sheriff's department to our offices.
Well, I'll save any questions to the 198 when it's his turn. That seems to be fair.
Should know, because they're quiet over here.
But we understand this, and it was explained in executive session, the importance of how to use this with regard to the discovery request.
And I'm glad to revisit that now if you'd like for
No,
us to.
I remember that.
Okay,
I couldn't remember why everybody's not using it.
okay.
Moving off the software issue, I'd still like to maybe revisit a little bit about how we're utilizing the SB 22.
But that's coming up, the next item that should address.
I don't think we have any authority in
No, we
how that's funded used.
We have absolutely no
Zero authority.
The authority that,
We'd probably be indicted if we could.
Here's the issue. I mean, we're getting blowback. Some of these departments have, with our approval, given out some incredibly generous increases utilizing SB 22 funds. And obviously, we're a small organization. Word's out. But a lot of people aren't happy. And it's a little bit of, well, what about me? But anyway, you know, I'd just like to see a little bit better.
Well, for the public,
Looking at
what you're trying to say, I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, you know, some people have gotten 30 to 60,000 on top of their regular salary from SB 22, and that's a pretty hefty deal for the constituents, you know. And look, it's not coming from Kerr County, but people look at government wasteful spending all over it, and that flares of that in some people's eyes.
Well, let's try to get this back on track. We're finishing up with the
Good luck.
county attorney's ask, okay?
Yeah.
It includes a raise for one employee that's doing additional responsibilities that were not in the job description, and this tech share software program that will be revisited throughout the morning, I'm sure. SB 22 is the next agenda item.
Yes, sir.
And it's the SB 22 for the county attorney's office, and that's under Fund 55. Those of you with notebooks.
so the Senate bill was passed in order to retain and recruit these types of employees in the prosecutor's offices across the state. And as you have seen through other departments, those retention and recruiting packages have worked. I am fully staffed and have remained so. I think that if I had room for new employees or a need for that right now, I would have asked that. My employees who have received the benefit of the Senate bill money understand that if our department needs to grow, that in a way that I can use that money as authorized by the statute, that will come from that Senate bill money. It is not the first time that y'all have heard from constituents or other employees that, why not me? I know that y'all heard that a lot last year. I saw it in this podium a whole lot. This is a decision that I've made in my office to use the entire funds that were given to us by the state for the employees who are authorized. I've only used it in a way that's authorized. There was no other way that I could use it in my office. If I could have used it for a new case management program, I assure you I would have. If I could have used it for other current employees, I absolutely would have. But there's no other authorized way for me to use those funds.
And let me speak to that. Without mentioning names, we had an assistant county attorney who, in my opinion, was frankly the best in the office. And he left us to go to Operation Lone Star because Operation Lone Star was paying a lot more money. And he kept his apartment here in Kerrville and commuted to Laredo. We lost him. There was an acute shortage in the office at the time. And to get him back, we did have to come up with more money because we weren't paying enough income to him. and we were successful getting it back. And we did that as a court. That was not SB 22. But SB 22 is responding to those situations all over the state of Texas. And I'm not defending the legislature. Lord knows, I'm not sure you can defend what they do sometimes. In any event, the whole concept on SB 22 was to make sure that the rural counties had funds available to be able to hire the professionals they needed to do their jobs. And it was a statewide crisis at the time. Why they decided that the individual elected officials would handle that budget on their own, I think is probably because they figured that if they gave it to us, we'd use it for something else. That's the only rationale I can come up with. But this is your SB 22 budget and how you've allocated the funds.
And I have some dedicated and experienced and knowledgeable staff in my office who were the only people I could give the money to.
How many are, participate in this in your office?
3 attorneys and my investigator.
So 4 people,
Yes, sir.
275,000.
Yes, sir. The state didn't put restrictions on the increases I could give to those employees.
So I'd like to just clarify, I mean, this is outside of the commissioner's court.
Yeah.
We have nothing to say about it, so
No.
they're entitled to use the money however they want.
But
It's not our fault.
Yeah.
I mean, look,
It's
I'm
not
all for SB 22 and, you know, give additional money where it's needed. I do think that in certain circumstances, it's become excessive.
Yeah.
That's all I'm going to say.
Well,
The circumstances of the county attorney's office.
That's all I'm going to say.
well, I don't want to breach any confidence in this conversation with the county attorney. When the SB 22 money came in, she and I sat down and talked about it. And she wanted to utilize it because these people have been going without for so long. Kind of accrued service benefits. But I also expressed my concern that if this SB 22 funding ceases, and they tell us it's not, but if it does, the county doesn't have the financial ability to meet those
No,
additional
match.
salary supplements that SB 22 is providing. And I know her assurances to me was that that had all been explained to the people who got the benefit of that, being able to take advantage of state funds for once in a blue moon that the state gave us to do something. They just didn't let the court control it.
And I've drafted, based on what Gillespie County drafted for their folks who got that SB 22 money, and we'll share with all of the prosecutors' offices and law enforcement, the sheriff's department, that those employees who receive the benefit of the SB 22 money will sign that they understand that those increases will not continue if the state doesn't continue this funding.
So the state's giving this money temporarily, and I think we ought to take advantage of it. I'm not complaining about the SB 22.
Tell you what, we ought to be able to hire the best of the best with this kind of money.
Well, I've seen improvements. Anything else on the SB 22 for county attorney's office? Okay, you may step out of the house.
I have one more hot check.
Oh, hot checks.
88.
Bud 88.
Do you have any questions?
I don't know.
I don't have an 88.
Yeah.
It's like
Oh,
almost the last
it's-
one. Oh,
It's a little.
no, you're right.
It's a little.
Oh, there's nothing in there.
It's a little out of order and it's empty.
I don't know what happened.
Pass on that.
You can walk us through it.
The revenue has decreased from the hot checks department. People don't write as many checks anymore, so
what are
our,
the numbers? I mean, we don't have.
the The requested budget is just over, it's $1,740. The current budget was $3,085. And so that just comes from those funds collected, the fees and from the hot check collections for the community folks.
Banks have shut down the float time. You can't write a hot check anymore.
I can't run a hot check anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, they do some, they come through, but not nearly as many as we used to. There used to be, I think before I got here, there were years that there was $60,000 in that account.
Not anymore.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. And let's move on to the 216th District Attorney. This will be Fund 83.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I was just talking to Candace, and we haven't seen a felony hot check in over 3 years. So,
Wow.
yeah, the amounts got bumped up, and then people just can't write hot checks anymore. Okay, so I just wanted to talk to you about any changes to the budget this year. We increased bonds and insurance. I'd be remiss if I didn't acknowledge Candace, who is basically, she does the budget and then she sits down with me and I have the final say on all the numbers, but she is absolutely instrumental in getting the budget together, and she's moving to Dallas. So anyway, this is her last year helping me with the budget. I hope I can find somebody that can do half the job that she does. But so we increased it because my bond will be due in December/January. So that's the additional $225. She always does a budget based on what we intend to spend specifically. And so that's the increase, $225 there. Books, publication, and dues, we've added $4,500, and that's because we've had a lot of increases in dues. Bar dues have increased. We also have dues for an additional attorney. This fiscal year, we will have to buy new books because of the legislative session. When the laws change, we have to get new books, and that those can be expensive. TCAA, Texas District and County Attorneys Association dues have also increased, and those went up quite a bit. Our contract with LexisNexis, we use LexisNexis instead of Westlaw. Westlaw's a little bit more expensive, although I prefer Westlaw. Everybody else in the office has become accustomed to LexisNexis. It's less expensive, but under the contract, it does go up every year. So part of the reason for the increase in that line item is the fact that LexisNexis will increase this year, this next budget. We also added an account, a Dropbox account. Because some of our files are so large, the only way we can get them to experts or attorneys sometimes is through a Dropbox. So that's why we had to add that we have to pay for yearly. Any questions on that one? Okay. Next one is the telephone. That is for cell phones for the prosecutors and the investigator. No one else in the office has a county cell phone. But that went up countywide when the provider was changed from 5-Star to AT&T FirstNet. So that's just that additional cost of the cell phones. We also do have an extra cell phone for the additional attorney. Witness travel, we went up just $2,000, although on one case alone in April, we spent $15,000 in travel expenses. This was a big trial with several out-of-state witnesses. It was a defendant ended up getting 109 years and a $20,000 fine total. But we had a lot of witnesses from out of state, and it was the week of the eclipse. Luckily, Candace had made reservations. Candace handles all the witness travel in my office as well. She had made most of the reservations very early, so it didn't cost us as much as it would have if we waited till the last minute. We did have one last minute witness that we found, and that was very expensive, but that was just for one case alone. And the way that works is that line item is reimbursed because witnesses are reimbursed by the state comptroller's office, and then once the check comes in for that payment, it's given to the county, and it's my understanding that it goes to some general fund. Is that correct?
It goes back to the fund that was spent.
Okay, so it goes back into this fund. And the reason we need that amount, even though we're getting reimbursed, is because we're always having witnesses. So we have to buy airline tickets sometimes, and then there's a lag in payment from the comptroller's office. So it does get reimbursed. So although it's in there, most of that will come back to the county. It doesn't always cover everything. For example, hotels, it covers up to $107. The hotels were quite a bit more during the eclipse week, so we won't be getting all of that back. And it just varies. You know, they don't always cover everything, but they cover most of it out of that. I think we're getting $11,000 back is what we're expecting out of that $15,000. So that's why that's in there, but again, that's money, the reimbursement will go back into that line item. It comes back to the county. Any questions on that line item? Okay. Then the lease copier, we increased that line item by $750, and that's because same as the LexisNexis contract, the contract every year goes up a little bit, so that's the additional cost based on the contract. The next one is conferences. We added an additional $1,500. That's because of the additional attorney. There's a big conference in Dallas that's a week long. It's called Crimes Against Children. I think everybody in Kerr County, CASA, CPS, Kids Advocacy Plays, prosecutors, law enforcement go to that conference. It's an excellent conference. It's huge. You can go every single year, and every single year you will learn something different because it's impossible to attend every class that they offer. And this year I actually told my office, my attorneys and investigators, everyone's going unless you're in the hospital or if you have a family member in the hospital. So we've all signed up for it. It's an excellent conference. And that alone costs about $1,500 to attend because it is in Dallas. So there's an additional mileage and meals and hotel. Any questions on that one? Okay. And then the professional services, we decreased by $740, and that's just our best guess. We looked at what we had spent and why we had spent it, and decided that we could decrease it by $740. I know that's just a drop in the bucket, but we just felt that that's something that we could decrease by that amount. Then, of course, Heather, Ms. Stebbins has already talked about the capital outlay for the tech share. I was also not aware that the sheriff was opposed to our case management system. The only thing I can think of, and I'll talk to him after this meeting, is that as we discussed previously, well, right now what's happened is in the past they were required to get their cases to us. They had to put them together and send them to us. Now that has changed within the last year, and we have to go into their system and bring them in, and that can be very, very time consuming. And sometimes when we're downloading videos, it can take over 8 hours, so over a whole work day. Sometimes we leave them downloading overnight. If for some reason there's a glitch and it stops, it has to be started all over anew. So it's just not working well, and there's lots of other reasons. For TechShare, it's also discovery. The way we do it now, we put it on a portal for the defense attorneys to get. It's based on their IP address. If they have any issues because their IP address has changed, they have to get with us. We then have to get with IT. They have to figure it out and try to fix it. It's based on their IP address, so they can only access it from whatever device that IP address is assigned to, and there's lots of other issues and problems with it, and we've already discussed a lot of our need for that, but I'll get with the sheriff and see if I can figure out why he's opposed. That's the only thing I can think of. And along those lines, Candace in my office took over that additional duty, and she has not been compensated for that additional work, and it really takes up a lot of her time. So we have somebody that's doing additional work that she wasn't doing before and is not being compensated. But she's not complained, so I'm happy about that. I'm hoping that TechShare will take care of that. Okay, so that's all I have for our budget, at least, is it 83? Fund 83 for our office. Any questions?
That finishes Fund 83. Let's move on to Fund 52, which is the 2/16 SB 22 money.
Okay, so on the SB 22, I can assure you that what I did with my SB 22 funds is I hired an intake attorney. I didn't have an intake attorney, and so I have hired an intake attorney. That attorney reviews all the cases for grand jury, prepares the indictments, and then presents them to grand jury, and that is extremely time consuming, as you can imagine. And so I use my SB 22 funds to hire a new attorney to do that. He is board certified, as is my first assistant DA, John Hoover. He's also board certified in criminal law. They're both board certified in criminal law. And then I took what remained to pay my new assistant DA that took another assistant DA's place. And it's in line with what other prosecutors with his experience are getting. He has lots of experience. He came from Bear County, where he was prosecuting cyber crimes and a lot of sexual assaults and sex crimes against children. And so basically I increased his pay a little bit just to put him in line with his experience. He had a lot more experience than the ADA that was there before him. It's nothing outrageous at all. And then I took some of the SB 22 money and increased my investigator's salary to be in line with what other investigators were getting paid. He was getting paid less than other investigators in his position. And he was actually a lieutenant in Travis County, Houston PD. And then I took the little bit that was left and gave it to John Hoover, because he is, like I said, board certified, and he is really incredibly talented and intelligent and capable. Judges sometimes call him with questions, other prosecutors, and even defense attorneys, and I. We like to pick his brain. He's incredibly intelligent and really does the work of two people. Right now, he's still handling his own grand jury just to help the new intake attorney get caught up with the backlog in Gillespie County, because I don't know if you are aware, but Gillespie County is just exploding with cases. Our dockets are huge in Gillespie County. So he's still handling his own grand jury at this point. So that's all I have on my SB 22. But as far as constituents complaining and maybe other employees, I think they just need to talk to their legislators. You know, it's not funds we got from the county, it's legislation, so.
Sure, and you're correct there. I mean, that's where it comes from.
Yeah, you have no control over it, you didn't give it to us, and you have no control over how we spend it, so.
And there are gaps. I mean, for example, they left out constables.
Yeah. So out of your 275,000, how many employees participate?
4.
4. Same as.
And one of them is a new one.
Right.
So three previous and one new
Okay.
one. One's a completely new hire, so it covers insurance and retirement, the roles as they call it.
The constables also did get SB 22 money. It
That's
just
what I
depends
thought.
on their services and what their duties in their communities, and so they have to do particular things in order to be eligible for that SB 22 money. And our constables just don't do those things in our communities.
Yeah, sheriffs, constables, and prosecutors.
And
And then, and I would like to add that we do use our forfeiture funds. Last year, for this past fiscal year, so far we've used $31,000 out of our forfeiture fund, and it's all been for.
Let get everybody directed to that. That's tab 75, 175. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, okay.
That's for.
So with our forfeiture funds, we have, I think we make good use of them, because we have used $31,000 of it, for actually 33 for desktops. We needed new desktops, for new laptops. We also have to have external hard drives, because some of the phone dumps, as we call them, are so large we have to put them on a thumb drive. A lot of the child pornography we can't put on the portal, so we have to store it somehow in our office. That has to be done on an external hard drive, so that we can allow the defense attorneys and their investigators to come look at that as part of discovery. And we also bought software. We bought the updated version of Microsoft Office. Is that right, Candace? Microsoft Office?
Yes.
Microsoft Office and Adobe. We've also had to get scanners, as you know, we're paperless, as is most of the county, and we have to have scanners to scan in what we do get in paper, so we can store it in our case management system. And so we also have bought scanners, but I think we put our forfeiture funds to good use, and we intend to continue to use them in that manner to cover things that maybe aren't in our budget, and mostly it's computers and software.
Is there do you have a balance in that fund? Because the,
We were just talking about that. I don't have an exact amount. It's about $150,000.
about 150,000 in there.
Yes.
Could that money be used for tech share?
No, because it would drain it, and then I wouldn't have this. We also used some of it for, because there was additional travel that we didn't have money for, because this year we've just had a lot of witness travel, and we actually used some of our forfeiture money for that. And again, most of it's gonna be reimbursed. But I like to have that so that I don't have to come to the commissioner's court and say, hey, we need new computers. We can't watch these videos. We can't log in remotely during court and without getting kicked off or something happening. So we need some new computers, right? That's what we use it for.
In my, if I recall correctly, that's at your discretion what this fund is used.
It is. It is.
So,
But if I may, if they spend 100% of their budget this year, they're only gonna have about 105,000 left for the next year, and that's what has been budgeted in the one you're looking at.
Correct.
So while she may have that much cash balance right now, we're looking into the future next year and where we stand right now.
and you may not spend the, I mean, you likely will not spend the full 105,000.
Likely not. Likely
Because this
not.
year you didn't.
Yes.
Or so far you haven't.
Right, right. And I know that we also, did we spend it on the capital outlay, some of it on the capital outlay? Do you remember when we did the build out for our office? Yeah, we spent some of it on that. So, I like to have that as a cushion for things like that. It's not a very large fund. For some reason in my mind, I thought it was about 500,000, and it's 150 or 105 now, so.
Okay.
Anything else on the forfeiture fund?
No.
Okay, thank you. 198. It's going to be Fund 84. Yes, sir.
Hey, Stephen Harpold on behalf of 198th, and y'all got my budget, and
You're a chronic complainer, Ken.
yeah, I know. Do y'all
I've
have
seen
any,
once every 3 or 4 months.
do y'all have any questions about the budget that I can answer?
Well, at the top, what's the new hires or special request?
I don't have any new hires.
What's your special request?
Is that my special request?
You want to list one of it?
Yes. I'm asking for an increase to 3 legal assistants in our office, if that's what you're referring to, and that's it.
So that's adding more?
No,
For your assistants?
5,000 for each.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's all. So I've got 3 legal assistants in our office. So our office is 6 people. There's myself, an assistant DA, an investigator, and then we have 3 legal assistants. And I'm asking for an increase in their salary of 5,000 each.
Got it.
That's an increase.
Okay. Tell us about tech share. Just your perspective, that's all.
Well, I don't really have anything to say about it in terms of, our office does not have any problems with the way things are going. And when I say our office, we have one person that does our intake, and I asked her if we needed it, and she said we don't. So that's all I know.
Fair enough. Any other questions on the budget? For the 216. Let's move on to Fund 52, which is the SD 22 fund.
Question,
Fund 11.
Stephen, the question on that, is there, do you pay for software I presume you're paying for some software other than Texture. You're using it, I mean, you gotta be using something, so what does that cost?
So, my understanding is that everything that we have software-wise is what the county has. And we're just utilizing the systems that the sheriff's office has and that the county has. And that we're not, as an office, paying for any software.
Okay, so that's an IT question.
Yes, sir.
Thanks.
Is it more of an intake question? Is that who puts the files together from the sheriff's office?
So, the way that things work, I mean, is that, you know, it's submitted to our office either, like, for example, out of Bandera, we still get hand deliveries of paperwork and CDs and, you know, stuff like that. And then with Kerr County, I believe everything is pretty much online now and through Odyssey. So everything that we get through Odyssey, everything that we get through Watchdog, which is Watchguard, yeah. Whatever the agencies have that they're utilizing, we're utilizing that with them, and then we're downloading it, and then we're making it available on the cloud to the defense attorneys, and, you know, however they're, you know, getting it that way. Does that?
Okay. Okay, we go to Fund 11, which is 198 SB 22. Any questions?
So Stephen, you're not spending the full 275,000?
No, sir. As you can see, there was an increase with our investigator, and then an increase with my assistant, which I think is in keeping with what I saw statewide on people in those levels with that experience and stuff like that. And that's it.
So SB 22 couldn't be used for the 3 that you were just asking for increases for?
No, ma'am. You know, it's interesting. I can hire a new staff person under SB 22, but I can't increase the
But
salary.
with that job description, you couldn't?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
That's my understanding, and if someone can tell me otherwise, but I think that's the way it is. Yeah.
That's the way it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just clarifying.
Yes.
Okay,
Well, I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much.
then let's move on to
Big
your
difference.
forfeiture fund, which is 95. There we go. Well, I don't see much one way or the other with that one.
Yes, sir. I don't think it's changed. It hasn't really changed, and we're not spending that much of it, so.
And what's the balance of that?
At the end of this year, it looks like we're projecting there's gonna be about 126,000.
Well, thank you for your efficient and frugal management of resources.
Well, thank you.
Can the increases come out of the forfeiture fund?
On the legal assistance in the office, I mean, I guess the answer to that question is I can do anything I want with the forfeiture fund, but I believe that I think the idea with the forfeiture fund is it's kind of like from our viewpoint, it's catastrophic kind of needs that need to be dealt with in a manner that we can do it like quickly and not have to come to y'all and stuff like that. And I believe also that in terms of the employee raise, as I'm calling it, I feel like that's in keeping with others in those positions. And so I just think that is something that is in keeping with the county, you know, supplying them and paying them for a wage for a job well done as opposed to coming out of forfeiture. And that may be the wrong idea, but that's my idea.
Okay. Thank you for your time.
Yeah.
Good job.
Okay, is that it?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank y'all very much.
Oh,
This next guy will probably take forever. Why don't we take a break?
now why don't we take a 5-minute break? We'll come back to order. The next report is tab 400, which is the county judge. And take a look at it. I want you to know that I had absolutely nothing to do with this. It was hot. And it's a little bit less than last year's, and I give all the credit to our court coordinator.
I was gonna give you credit for dropping it $4.
Well, don't give it to me. She stuck her head in my office and said, is anything gonna change? I said, nope. That was as far as I got into it. I think this is one that would qualify if we didn't have to appear today.
Yep.
So, moving on with that, we'll move on to Fund 405, mental health. As you can see, it's not changing much. Down a little. Any questions about that? Okay, let's move on to the county court. We have 426. This is one that Ms. Grinstead and I worked on together, and you can see it's right about the same. We're pretty predictable. Any questions? Moving on to Commissioner's Court, which is tab 401. I think the big drop will pick up my gas line on some of them, is that it?
Now, on this one, we went up a tiny bit, but mainly, we've got bonds for the 2 new commissioners that we have to consider. Went up a little bit with conferences for the 2 new commissioners, and slightly with the lease copier to include color copies.
Jones and Holt already costing us money.
Not yet. Well, then just wait till January.
One thing, I would recommend y'all increase conferences. I really haven't gone to conferences the past couple of years because I didn't see the need. And these 2 new.
I haven't either, and I got notice from TAC.
You have an obligation or.
Well, but see,
No, he's
after 16 years, you're exempt.
You know.
Yeah, after 16 years, I'm exempt from having to any more continuing education, so
Yeah.
I don't need to go, and I go occasionally, but
Well, but the legislative update is always important.
yeah, I do attend that sometimes. But, and I believe both of these gentlemen will be needing to do quite a bit the first year. You have to go to that thing, February one, then you have another one, so that number, that would probably go up to about 8,000, I would guess, just because.
I would think
I
so.
wouldn't disagree.
Yeah.
Because that is required, part of the deal. And there will be and it's noted on here, to offset that, salaries are down a little bit because
Well, yeah.
the salary.
Those conferences, I mean, putting 8,000 in there, I mean, that's for 5 people is pretty small. Or 5 compared to some departments,
Okay. It's not a
1
lot.
or 2.
Yeah. And I don't think this, I don't know that any of us ever turn in mileage. I don't ever turn in mileage. So,
No, we could.
only out of county drivers.
Okay.
And meals, I'm not sure. Anyway, there's no change that I saw at this conference. Is that?
Okay? We'll take that into consideration. And we'll move on to parks maintenance, tab 513. You're up about 4,000, James. So technically, you don't have to be here, but it's kind of both.
Okay,
Helicopter view, what are we looking at?
513. Equipment repair, my big one, well, fuel oil and maintenance or supplies. I went up in my supplies, on that $400, and that, the supplies is just a small one, but that's where I get my weed eater string, any other parts. sometimes trash bags, and just gloves, just, you know, for the parks, you know, picking up trash and whatnot.
The only thing, and I'll look to Mr. Paces on this, we're likely gonna, I'm guessing you're gonna approve at some point, using some of the additional space in 550 Earl Garrett. And there will be some changes, some modifications probably needed. Did that go under major repairs? Where was that, what line item would that kind of thing go?
Would be parks.
No, it'd be the
Capital outlay.
We are gonna
building.
need
It would not be
money.
parks. It would be the courthouse and related buildings, which is next
Okay.
on the agenda.
That you're right. So
Yeah.
They don't know what
that. My question for Shane, on parks maintenance, you know, do you have enough money in there? I recently visited Riverstar Park with Jake, who's in court today, and, you know, some of those buildings need a new coat of paint.
Yep.
You know, that platform under the.
That is under a different line item, that's,
Is that different?
6.
I'm sorry?
The Riverstar Parks, that's under, 10,666,450.
Okay. Didn't realize it was.
I mean, it's part of the ag barn facility.
So they're gonna tip that new fence
Okay.
up.
Okay. Well,
Parks.
so what is included here? That might be a better question to ask.
Flat Lions in Ingram Park?
Yes,
Three?
yes. So I typically, I don't have a lot of money in 513 other than for fuel, equipment. I did go up a pretty good amount on, equipment repair, as y'all may be aware of. I picked up 3 pieces of equipment, a water truck, a bucket truck, and a big wood chipper from Road and Bridge. So, and plus,
Which fund are you talking about now?
that is 513, 456.
Equipment
He's
repair.
on parks, he's on the same department, 513.
And I kind of jumped around on the asked different questions.
I didn't have any more questions on that.
No, I don't.
We're good on that.
So we'll move past 513, we'll move on to 510, courthouse and related building.
The first one that I asked for more money in is uniforms. I've got an additional space for one person, which we did have that. So that's for the cost of uniforms, boots that we do get. I do allow the employees to get one set of boots every year. And then on my supplies, and again, like for supplies, it's increased by probably about 10% every year, and this year alone, it's increased by 9%. So I'm asking from 21,000 to go to 24,000 for my, and the supplies, that's all your paper products, cleaning products, also, I mean, gloves, everything we need to clean and keep the courthouse stocked with paper, cleaning products. And this also does multiple buildings, you know, not only the courthouse, it will do like the 550 Old Garrett building, the Road and Bridge Department, in those areas out there, and also the Ag Extension Office as well. So these funds, it takes care of multiple buildings in the courthouse.
I have a question, not that you really support it here. Where are we on Ingram Annex? Or can I ask that here?
Yeah. Last time I talked to Dr. Templeton, he was going to put it on the agenda. We talked about the difference in the appraised values. We used joint appraiser on most properties, and there was a $700,000 difference in appraisal. And theirs being worth more than the one that we traded. And I talked to him about, we sit down and try to negotiate that or what. He wanted to go talk to the board and wait for him to get back. They are eager for us to supposed to be.
The reason I bring it up is because that will impact this budget and also probably your, I don't know, your mowing, and I mean, there's more stuff all of a sudden if we take on that
Right.
whole complex. It's a big complex.
It's a big
A
complex,
lot of mowing.
another old building.
Are you not mowing out there?
Oh, no, I,
Yeah,
go out there.
we are,
Yeah, we do all
but
that.
it's still kind of joint maintenance on the facility. I
Well,
mean,
and I know we have some old AC units out there that are gonna be problematic.
one of them right now, you know, went out and old, and they had, correct me if I'm wrong, they had to go to the manufacturer or, waiting on a part
To get the
on
part.
an old
One at a
unit.
time.
So, anyway,
So,
Okay, questions come up. Do we pay the utilities out there?
No,
Under the terms of the lease agreement, we are supposed to.
but we
I'm not
have,
sure that we've ever been billed.
no.
And what I can tell you is that in my discussion with Dr. Temple, Ingram ISD has been gracious and more than generous with us, and they are eager for us to close this deal. It's a maintenance issue out there, but it's an old building. That goes along with it. And that has been part of the discussion in whether or not, or if any, how much money we would pay in addition as a result of different values, because there are a lot of things out there that they are eager for us to take over and maintain.
Well, for both them and us on budget issues, might step it up a little bit.
I wonder if we shouldn't
I'll put a call on that.
in either capital outlay or is there, I don't know, somewhere we ought to put a money for what may happen out there and what may happen at 550 or
I
okay.
agree.
I think,
Well, I didn't mean, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but I do have a line item for annual.
Yeah, we see it.
yeah. But it's just I mean, I'm thinking more of we really don't know what we're doing in those two spots. But we know we're gonna probably do something. And we need to have something available, whether it's in contingency or in capital outlay somewhere or air somewhere. I mean, I don't know where it goes, but we need to go somewhere.
For the annex, I would think it's a capital outlay. If we, for example, have to pay $100,000 or $200,000 difference, if we have to. But I think there are a lot of ways to negotiate and sweeten that deal and continue to benefit
not
the
here.
citizens of Ingram.
Yeah, but we're not gonna
But not
negotiate it
here.
here in public.
Okay,
We'll do that in
that's fine.
private.
But anyway, I agree with Commissioner Letts. We should have significant funds, at least in contingency, for what we may have to expend on that one. And also, you know, we've had some discussion about 550-year-old Garrett. And, you know, I've asked Sheriff Leva to bring to the court his need for additional office space, which predicates a potential move. So.
We've already been told that.
Well, I know.
I thought we were trying to look.
Well, anyway, the point is, it ties into, we're gonna need some money to make improvements at 550-year-old Garrett. I don't have a firm number yet, but it's likely to be close to 100,000. But that's a heck of a lot better than a dedicated building, so where do we put it?
If you will get me the dollar amounts, I promise I will find a place to put it.
I will get you the dollar amount, and I'll copy the judge so that hopefully it shows up in his budget.
We'll put it in this budget before we finalize and start with his budget, so I need it ASAP, please.
All right.
Anything else on,
Yeah, Shane, on your major repairs, what falls under that category? What all?
Compressor replacements, you know, let's say back up at the COVID, before COVID, I could get a brand new compressor if one goes out for $2,300, maybe $2,800. After COVID, it's more like $5,300 for a compressor for, and I'm not talking, you know, a big 10-ton unit. I'm talking, you know, like anywhere from 3 to 6 ton unit. It's now $5,300. That's and repaired and replaced. So
I'm just questioning if, you know, you got 10,006 in there, is that enough?
I can do a couple of, a couple repairs for, you know, like maybe quick replacements or, you know, to I'm not gonna replace the whole unit. That's just a lot of times a compressor. Or I can get one, you know, brand new compressor for around that much.
You know, you just look at the top of these buildings and how many there are up there, how old a lot of them are, you know.
That's the question I was going to like to, at some point I would like to address the Commissioner's Court and, you know, department head meeting or something like that, because at some point we need to look at replacing them, because they're 25 years old at least, in some cases. But, and I think there was a study done in 2017 to get a cost of how much it replaced to replace 33 AC units for the courthouse. 33 units for, and that was $1.2 million. So that's a pretty significant amount of money to try to spend to replace all the ACs. And I would suggest if we ever did that, maybe we could look at maybe replacing them over a 3-year period. You know, break it down to smaller bites.
I think we need you to come back with a plan as to, because we have to start, you know.
Yeah.
I recommend we start phasing this in because we can't afford 1.2 million at once, and obviously they're not going to all go out at once, but still.
Over a 4-year period.
And I'd hate to,
We should budget.
you may know, but it's a scary number to how many air conditioning units this county owns.
I am currently dealing with like 120 units.
120 units. So you figure with 10-year life of a lot of that stuff nowadays, you're looking at getting near 12 a year that we're going to have to start replacing.
Mm-hmm. Just to keep them current and brand new. So, and that's where, you know, it's like my maintenance budgets, like during the summertime, I had a lot of call out services for ACs. That's where a lot of my maintenance budget goes, is for AC repairs.
And it's unfortunate that the 25 years life that we have on some of these existing ones, that doesn't seem to exist anymore from what I can tell.
We'll spend 1.2 million and then we get 5 years or 10 years out of them.
Shane, if you
They don't make them like they used to.
Start looking at that, come up back with a plan on that kind of stuff.
I think we need to get some of that money in next year's budget.
Exactly.
And with that too, and with that kind of money, that even if you replace, let's say, 8 a year, that's over that $50,000 mark, and we're gonna have to put that out to a bid every year, you know, to get a contract on this. Every, you know, when we do that, we'll have to put that out to bid, I'm pretty sure.
Well, we're kind of far afield here. This is supposed to be a budget workshop, we're doing capital planning session.
Right.
I'm sorry.
No.
No.
I'll understand what we got capital needs. But,
It's on the budget. It's on our worksheet, capital.
Yeah, it is.
We're just jumping around a little.
okay. Let's get back on task and finish up the courthouse and related buildings.
All right, let me get back to the courthouse then. Shane, do you have money for things that like our office space committee has been recommending, such as that storage room down in the basement that we've kind of all agreed we ought to convert that into a meeting room? And Bob Reeves has graciously volunteered to move all of his stuff out to the juvenile detention facility the records that he maintains in that room right now.
I do not technically have the funds for that, and, you know,
Unless you have money in your budget this year, then I think we better get some money in there for that kind of stuff.
yes, sir. I didn't try to put that in there because I don't know if that was one of the bills where we'd have to, at the Commissioner's Court, would have to put their vote to turn that into a meeting room or a conference room.
Well, yes, I think it'll come to the Commissioner's Court, but despite that, it would be good to have money available in the
Right.
budget for those types of projects.
What we're saying basically is we're going to have some movement around, it looks like.
Yeah.
And that costs money. And that's not really capital. It'll be more out of your courthouse related buildings.
Right. So, I mean, for the courthouse repairs and maintenance budget, I asked for $90,000. So if we start doing that, then we're gonna have to bump that up, because I did get some costs up. If we do the building part of it, it was right around, I think, was it $2,500 for us to convert that into a room, the conference room, but the electrical would have to be upgraded and the lighting would have to be upgraded, and that's another $3,000. So we're looking at $6,000 to do just that room to a conference room.
I would recommend bumping that up from 90 to about 120 in case some of this stuff. That way we got it if we need to make these improvements or something else comes up.
Or account for it if it is.
Yes.
Just good. You have a question?
Did we already spend the money for the room behind Bob's office?
Shane, what about the IT move?
expansion.
Has that been done yet? I haven't been back there in a while.
No.
No, that is not.
Okay, so we
It
haven't
it
spent
was
that many.
relatively, it was only like $1,000.
None of these things have been brought to the court for
That one
approval.
was.
That one did.
Okay.
We did that, that one was.
But we haven't spent that, and
Just
then,
had
but
it.
that's not in your budget, so we need to get that in your budget.
That's $600, for materials, we build it, so we're good
That
there.
happened this year.
And then the next one for the capital outlay, I asked for $10,352, and that is the restriping of the 550 parking lot. That is the reason why that's that high.
The one across the street, 440 as well, or no?
Yes, sir. It's completely seal coating the 550 parking lot to get rid of the cracks and also striping both parking lots. That's why that expensive. The seal coating itself was, instead of doing a crack seal, which is $1,100, but if you seal coat the whole parking lot, it's $7,800 to seal coat the parking lot. And it does need to be either crack sealed or seal coated because of the kind of cracks and stuff that's in the parking lot.
And then maybe this should budget with the gate to keep people from coming from the Bolero through the parking lot and also the signage on the building.
Yes.
That's this year, I presume.
Well, also I did ask for more money for the 550 building for the reason of I had two yearly contracts for the amount of $3,800, and I increased the budget just a little to account for actual repairs. That's 510,458.
Shane, do you have anything to cover 600-year-old Garrett?
No, I mean, as of yet, no. I don't even have a line item for that. And if I do have to do any repairs over there, it's going to come out of general maintenance fund, the 450.
I mean, I don't know what's required until we actually decide to do something with it, but we got to be careful letting buildings just sit.
The water and stuff is turned off over there.
Yeah.
But
Okay, any additional amounts of money that you're gonna need for some of these things, you need to get it to me ASAP, because this is the last workshop before I go to work. And I need to know what these numbers are.
correct.
So, do your homework.
So should I start getting maybe potential bids for people to do some repair work at, like, say, the Ingram Annex?
I wouldn't get bids, but I think, I mean, you ought to know, have a rough idea what things are gonna cost.
Yep.
Just,
That's for budgetary quote or something.
yeah.
Ask and, put it in there, give us something in the next few days.
Okay.
On all these projects, what you might need if we pull the trigger on them this next fiscal year.
Okay.
Well, he can't read our mind.
Well, no, but he knows what needs to be done and what we've talked about.
I'll be happy to coordinate with you a little bit on some of this stuff.
Okay, moving on to jail maintenance, 511.
Okay, I don't have any unforeseen things that I'm asking for that need to happen, but the jail repair budget, I've asked for $95,000. And over, let's see my notes. On average, I'm spending about $8,000 a month on repairs out at the jail. And I'm on an estimated to spend about $96,000 this year in the jail budget alone. So I'm gonna have to do some more budget, because I'm gonna probably before the year's out, I will be over budget in the repairs. So I will be having to do some budget amendments there. So I'm really needing to bump that up to a good 10% to at least 95,000 for the jail repairs. And also that budget does take care of the jail complex and the jail annex building. Some of the systems that I have out there, we cannot work on. Some of the computer, the medicine system, that's the computer interface that the officers have with the AC. They can adjust the temperature and stuff, and so every once in a while, well, either you don't know what the problem is. Is it an AC problem, or is it the medicine system? And we have to rule out. For instance, when Johnson Controls shows up with their laptop to hook it up and go for 5 minutes, 20 minutes, go, oh, it ain't our problem, but they send me a bill for $1,100. It's an AC problem. It's not the interface system. Then I have to get the AC company out to work on it. It's just stuff like that. It's just quite annoying. And then, when you have a problem with the fire alarm system, this year I think I spent almost $11,000 on the fire alarm system. The fire panel itself, because a couple of cars went bad. Some of that stuff is quite expensive out there as far as repairs go.
Shane, where does the juvenile detention facility fall? What is it to maintain that thing? I mean, it's an asset that we need to protect and preserve. We use it for storage and election equipment and so forth, so.
I do have a line item for the juvenile. By 10-451. And I have 20,000 in that.
Okay, yeah, you're right, sir. Again, is that enough? I mean, we don't have people in there, but.
Well, here's the one I found out about empty buildings. They still require maintenance because when you keep the air conditioning running, election goes out there for 1 day out of the week, and then your ACs have to still work.
That's right.
Everything has to work out there. So empty buildings apparently cost money. So yeah, 20 grand is barely covers it. I think I'm not going to be over budget this year. And if I was going to bump anything up for the juvenile repairs, it maybe got 5%.
Well, I guess it kind of goes back to the AC units that we've already talked about. And we need to have a program to identify and start replacing some of these things. I'm not talking specific to juvenile detention, but you tell us, what do you need if we decided to replace, upgrade a quarter of our AC units? What would that cost? And then every year.
Okay. I do think in the future we're going to need to start looking at maybe roof repair at the old building of juvenile.
I'm sorry, repeat that again, roof?
The roof repair.
You gotta make sure you got funds in the budget, Shane.
I mean, I can do basic repairs, but it's getting to places where there's places on the roof that you're not going to repair this. It's going to need to be replaced in areas. So.
Well, on that stuff, I think that's what we're trying to say, is we need probably like a 5-year plan of things that you know that are coming down the road. And this has, as long as we have the plan, we don't need the exact dollar amount. We just know these things are going to hit in the next 5 years. And that's kind of what we need to do.
If we don't get a plan, we'll be right here at the same spot next year.
Exactly.
Or worse.
Well, of course.
Catastrophic failures of a bunch of stuff and not have the money to do anything about it.
Okay, anything else on jail maintenance?
I did ask for more money in the custodial supplies. But
Any other questions for Shane? Thank you. Crime victims.
Wait a minute. Is that coming up under the ag barn? Going back to my questions about Riverside Park?
It's down below.
It's
Never mind, you guys. I'll wait.
It's 1066-450.
Okay.
Or, 1066.
Okay, thank you. Crime victims. That's
Oh.
tab 10438.
For 3A, yes.
Okay. Where do you want to start? Let's start.
You tell me. You want me to just start going down the line, or do you want, how would you like me to?
Well, let's set the stage. Crime victims have been primarily funded like 95% on grants for the last 12 years, something like that.
More than that, like
More than that.
15.
Last year, they sent a message back to us that we needed to start having more skin in the game, that we were not going to be able to get the grants if we did not match some of the expenses. And so Pam she sent out emails to everybody affected, all the affected parties, wanting to know what we needed and what the recommendation was as far as what the county would pay in order for us to be able to apply for and maybe get a partial grant, which no one responded to, except I think me. I responded to it.
You did.
And the takeaway that I had to go through was that with the admonition that they've given us, if we didn't have some sort of match in this office, crime victims office, then I was not optimistic that we would get the grant. And so she built in, and she consulted with me, we went through the thing, a portion of the expense of that office being paid by the county rather than the grant. And we submitted the grant application, and
Here we are. So, yes, that is how we made the decision. Yes, there were some emails that went back and forth. I actually originally had written a draft for the entire amount, but then when the information came down, maybe that wouldn't be the best idea. There's two schools of thought, which one do we want to go with? You know, go for the gusto, write it for everything and get nothing, or write for half and show a good faith effort to help ourselves, which is, we've had workshops through ACOG about that very thing. We're not here to fund you for the rest of your lives. We're here to help you get on your feet. You have to come up with a sustainability plan, which, you know, I try to put something in there every single time about that. Our first effort at that was, the second year I was here was our first effort at that. We reduced a position, half a position, to create, hey, look, we're really trying here. And it just was an effort, a good faith effort to show them that we're trying. Because we have had it a very long time, from what I understand, relative to anyone else. We've kept it because of the way it's set up. So, you know, that's kind of the history behind it and why it
And
was.
before you do this, for the public, and because I think it was an important point, we're mandated to have crime victim services, and it has to have the sheriff, the DAs, county attorney, that is the.
All of the law enforcement agencies, local law enforcement agencies, use Pam's office, and all of the prosecutors'
So they're
offices.
all required to do victim services. And we, years ago, were able to get a grant and have one, it's all done through one office now. It could be done at each office, which would cost us a whole bunch of money. So we figured it's a whole lot better and more efficient to have one person do it. And we've been, I'm shocked that we still have this grant at all.
well, I don't think we would have it today if we had taken these remedial measures.
Right. But either we are going forward, we're gonna have to start picking up more and more and rapidly at our office, and it's a crucial office, and we do a really good job. That's not, it's crucial, but we don't have a choice.
All the feedback was very positive about what Pam's been doing. And I had a lot of discussions with Pam, even though it wasn't in emails that I can't share with everybody.
But the bottom line is,
Good job writing
prosecutors,
this grant.
law enforcement and prosecutors have to have some sort of crime victims coordination. And so we've consolidated it. We've been grant rich in the past. We were looking at, she says, go for the gusto. And I'm a little bit more conservative than that. I'm recommending that we try to pick up some of the tab ourselves, even though it is an unfunded mandate. But those offices, it would either be in their budget, and the concern has always been, if we have 4 or 5 crime victims coordination functions in the county and they're being funded in separate departments or offices, the likelihood it's going to cost us more than if we just consolidated. So that's where we are. And that's what this budget reflects.
So, I mean.
I'm good with your budget.
Thanks.
Well, tell us about the grant application and the results of that.
Well, the grant application, we're there. We were number 4. I'm pretty proud of that because I went up against professional grant writers and ranked 4th. Crisis Council and I were right there together.
Congratulations.
And, you know, and I think Noel will tell you, I take that very seriously, and I try to write the best grant I can because I know, self-serving as well, it pays my salary. Let's not, joke around here. But I really, and I've said this to others, could we have done it different? Yes. Would it have worked out different? Maybe. It's hard to know, but based on the best information and some inside information that we had, if you want to call it that, basically people from ACOG talking directly to us about, y'all had this a long time. It ain't gonna last forever. So I have talked to Commissioner Paces. I try to keep a pretty lean budget overall. The big ones here that you're gonna see is the in-state regular travel and training. The reason for that is every other year, the one training that we have for victim services is done by the Texas Victim Service Association. And so Rosa before me, Amanda, everyone has always tried to go to that because you get a lot of information and legislative type what's coming stuff. So I've been twice, so that's why that's in there. And I would like for my assistant to be able to go because she's new and she'll learn, and I think that's a good practice. Everything else I've tried to keep as low as I can. Postage is a huge expense. I've heard others say it before me. It's going to go up in the summer and it's going to go up again. So I just tried to pad that a little bit in office supplies. But overall, the biggest one, the glaring one to you, I'm sure, is the request for increase in salary. And here's the background on that, and I've talked to some of you. And so when we went back down to a half position, we had, the discussion was had about, okay, if we take the $40,000 that person was making and you're throwing it back in the pot, we can reduce down. And then I said, I'd like a portion of that because that job doesn't go away. Somebody absorbs that job. And so I didn't ask for half of it. I just asked for about roughly $5,000. It was a little over. That was the year we did not get raises, and so that went by the wayside. And I've kind of just rocked along, but with the changes we know we're going to have to make, and we know it's coming, this year I'm putting it back out there because, I think that this is the right time to tell you again, this is what I think is fair for the job and what I was hired for. I'm happy to answer any questions.
She's kind of gotten the raw end of the deal here for a while. They need to be addressed.
And I know it's a big ask. And any one of you I've talked to, it's a big ask, and I totally understand that.
It's not out of line, by the way, with some in the area. Bastrop is 70, Kendall is 68, Wilson County is 64. But most of those are only one county, one prosecutor, and they only do district. They only do felonies. And granted, I will be totally upfront. Heather's office, she's light on us. She goes real light on us. But you know, we are there, and anytime Heather has something or asks us to do something, we're happy to do it.
It's true.
Thanks, Heather.
You're welcome.
So, Pam, tell us, how much did we get for in the grant? What's going to be funded?
I need some,
I don't
hang
know the
on.
number.
I brought it, it's just in the file here. Feel free to chime in if you know the amount.
I
No.
feel like is it 58 or 53?
Yeah, somewhere in there, the total.
5380 or 5830?
Yes.
Something like
I
that's
can't
in my
find-
head.
I think I grabbed the wrong one. Here we go. I brought two different versions of the grant, sorry. An
Not
old
quite
one and a
half.
new one.
40% or so of the budget.
Yeah, right at that, that's about. 40, so the total budget, the total grant as ACOG sees it in the governor's office is 61,190, and 12,198 is our cash match, because we will be back doing the 20% match from everything I understand. 45 of it was personnel. That's what ACOG will pay. We have 11,000 that we will pay in cash match. Any other questions? Answers?
Thanks, man.
All right, thanks.
Thank you.
Public Relations Office. I don't think.
She doesn't plan to attend because she was under that
Right.
criteria.
Okay, the next is airport ramp.
Mayor.
Mayor, airport.
We jumped ahead. 47, from 47.
I've got 147, 48 marks. What does that mean?
We don't have it.
They're not presenting, they're just, if you have any questions on the 595,
So we're here on 595.
which is their, the match for the ramp grant. This is Department 595.
Okay, Mary, go ahead.
Hey, good afternoon or good morning. My name is Mary Rohr. I'm the airport manager at the Kerr County Airport. Every year, TxDOT provides us a grant, which is for what they call routine airport maintenance. It's historically been about $100,000, and it's typically been 50-50 that the city and the county put together $50,000, and the TxDOT then supports it with another 50. Last year it changed. It's now TxDOT provides $100,000, and the city and the county, in our share, is then we split the whatever 100, the 10%, which is $11,100 between the city and the county. So it's become very good. This fund is used to take care of our airport pavements and drainage, and we've identified some areas that we need to repair next year and strengthen to improve our ability to take care of our larger aircraft.
So with the contribution from the state now, we've saved about 80% of what we paid.
Yes, that's correct.
Making more money.
Yeah.
So what's wrong with that news?
Nothing. It's really good news. I want to make sure you all knew that good news.
Anything else? Thank you, Mary.
Okay, just want to remind you all, we have our airport, annual airport meeting next Wednesday at the Eaton Center at 1:30, so we'll be able to go through the rest of the details of our program. So thanks very much.
Thank you.
Okay, that takes us down to county-sponsored activities, 660. Mr. Ives.
Good morning, Judge Keller, Commissioners. Did you want us to present together, because I know there's two different organizations here, or just one?
Sure. Just take turns.
Okay. So, thank you for the opportunity to come before the Commissioners. I'm Brent Ives. I'm the Chief Executive Officer for Hill Country Crisis Counselor. I have brought Chandler Collins, who's our Chief Development Officer. I would be remiss if I didn't let the Commissioners know that this is our 40th anniversary of providing services in Kerr County and the surrounding counties. We are a crime victims services program. We are a children's advocacy center that provides a response to children who have been sexually assaulted or physically assaulted or witness to various crimes. We are also a family violence program that provides a safe place and emergency shelter for survivors of family violence. And we are a rape crisis center under the same umbrella. We have, let me break down some of the services that we have provided in Kerr County. So for our Children's Advocacy Center, well actually before that, I would like to say one of the most important things that we do as a victim services program, and specifically a Children's Advocacy Center, is the collaborative efforts that we have with law enforcement, local Department of Family and Protective Services, our local prosecutors, Peterson Regional Medical Center, CASA, K-STAR, some of the other local nonprofits that provide mental health services. That's one of the strongest things that we do as a core service. We do many things under our umbrella. And for Kids Advocacy Place, that is the name of our Children's Advocacy Center. In 2023, we provided a response and services and support to 140 children from Kerr County. 114 caregivers that came with those children from Kerr County. And then on the family violence sexual assault side of our program, we provided a total service, or a total or services to a total of 213 individuals from Kerr County, 178 adults and 36 children. We feel like that we provide a value to the community, to the county, to the partners that we serve, and the survivors that we serve as well. Any questions about?
Tell us how much money you're asking us for.
$2,500.
For all that.
Yes, sir.
What a bargain.
What a bargain. In years past, we've been funded $1,500 from the county. I didn't want to create any shock with the Commissioner's Court. Certainly, we feel like that our services are valuable, and we would certainly like to, in the future, ask for more. This is where we started. Now, we do have a new Chief Development Officer. She will probably be taking this role over. She may come in here next year with a whole other plan. So, but right now, we are at $2,500. Yes, sir.
Any other questions?
Thank you.
Yeah, great work.
Thank you.
This request is split between the CAD department and Fund 36.
Fund 36?
You won't see the 2,500 there.
Okay.
Which we looked at that last week, and we used Fund 36 as a dedicated fund, and so we split the request.
Okay.
Fund 36 is for K-STAR,
Right.
CASA, and Local
Please.
Hi, I'm Amy Harding. I'm a volunteer coordinator with Hill Country CASA. And earlier today, you heard from Judge Falkenberg asking for a increase in court-appointed attorneys' hourly fees. And in the Texas Family Code, the children involved in foster care cases are entitled to have an attorney, or they're required to have an attorney appointed to them and a guardian ad litem appointment for them. And in this county, in all 4 counties that Hill Country CASA serves, Kerr, Kendall, Bandera, Gillespie County, Our appointment with the court is that our volunteer advocates serve the role as the guardian ad litem. And so the value that we bring to the court is that by you supporting us nominally, I believe we're asking for $2,000 to train and support our advocates and provide this to the community. We are saving you because we don't charge the county for our representation as guardian ad litem appointments. And it is a requirement. So I think at the $20 an hour rate that we can credit our volunteer service hours with, we saved $48,000 at that rate in representing children in foster care and making sure that their best interests are being accommodated. In doing that, our volunteers do work with collaborative agencies and other nonprofits, and in Kerr County we were able to successfully reunify 80% of the children that entered in foster care by working with their parents and their caregivers and making sure that they did rehabilitate. And so when we fix the families, the ripple effect to other social welfare programs that you are supporting and the work that the capacity issues at the jail and the mental health issues and things like that, when we can work with them and get them the services that they need, our intention is to prevent them being involved in other social services programs. And having a dedicated advocate for our kids in foster care so that hopefully we can prevent them from getting involved in the juvenile justice system and other things like that. So we appreciate your financial assistance, and it also gives us the opportunity when we go seek additional funds from our grants and other funders to be able to say that all of our municipalities support us in some financial way. That goes a long way with the foundations that we support, knowing that our communities are giving us financial assistance too, regardless of the amount. Do you have any questions about our program or anything that we do?
Well, as a juvenile judge, I know your program very well.
Yes, sir.
I appreciate the fine work that you do.
Thank you.
This is very worthwhile.
Very worthwhile. We're doing a pit for what y'all do.
But what she's saying is right. And I sit on a lot of boards, and the first thing that I ask, especially with grant writers, they want to know if you've got local government support.
Yes.
That's why we do the DEETR. That's why we do these things. And so that we are supporting.
It means a lot to us. It really does go a long way with our funders, and so we appreciate that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Move on to Hill Country Convention Center. That's going to be Fund 666.
We ought to change that.
Good morning, Court. I do want to just verify, I don't believe the numbers maybe got passed on correctly. You show a $323,000 for our line item specifically.
Is that what it should be? 323?
We were asking for more. So I do apologize for that, so I do want to go through that. If you want to update your number, our ask is 395,337. And to go through the reasoning behind that is, as we progress through this year, we are finding our new normal with attendance, with bookings for the event center. And this comes after, everybody calls it the COVID bump. We had a great turnout. After that, everybody wanted to do their events. We have seen some sort of fallback. Some events are attended less, therefore revenue isn't as robust as it was for a couple of years there. Still doing quite well. We are still fully booked. We still project to be fully booked again next year. But expenses have, of course, gone up, as everybody knows. So, per our contract, just so you all know, our line item does not include utilities, things of that nature. That's why Shane will talk on his as well. So that's where Commissioner Pace's, your questions came in there.
Jake, you mentioned that the to get the revenues down. Do you still think we're at the right place at the rates we're charging?
We are right for people that are not nonprofits, people that pay full price. We are at market. We are doing full across the board for rental on that. We are competing with San Antonio. We're at San Antonio rates for those people. Per the county policies, all nonprofits get a 50% discount for rental. Therefore, that probably doesn't match. We do have more nonprofits renting from us because of those discounts, which is a great thing that this board has done. I don't think that's a bad thing, but it does reflect on our ability to make revenue. We do project to bring in $295,000 in revenue next year, which is still a phenomenal increase from our first year, and in the 9th season, our first year was $67,000.
What's the budget on commercial versus nonprofit usage?
Nonprofit usage itself, we're probably 60% nonprofit of those that pay. 65% of our total business is free, is not paid at all.
Not even at 50%?
Not even at 50%. So the next board policies are all county functions.
County and 4-H and FFA.
Yeah, so that's a huge portion. It's a great thing. Use it all. We do have over 420 event days a year. So per meeting, per banquet, those all add up. It's a huge facility.
Okay, and so 40% is you're getting at the San Antonio rates. Okay, I'm just trying to get the breakdown.
So, and that's we really base that on the banquet hall, the barns and the park. The revenues are quite substantial. So our liquor license is part of that. Coming into 2024, our liquor license will be renewed already. It's only a 2-year license, so we'll have to pay the bonds again on those, leading to a 9% increase overall in expenses.
Who has the liquor license? I don't know.
So
The county has the liquor license?
the county, we hold it for the county, so as operators we do that. So and that revenue next year, we're looking to bring in about $70,000 extra dollars in revenue in that liquor license. I think it's a good, positive.
That should be where you're making us money.
We should, and the prices are quite low because we have not having it from the start. We've had to build people into that. There has been a pushback and kickback, and so as these years go on, it will continue to increase.
Yeah, you need to raise those.
I want to go back in on the 60% is used by the county essentially, or totally you get no funds for. I think it's really important for the public to understand. I'm going to just bring it up again because I hear people that don't really understand the whole operations out there saying, well, why are you paying Spectrum $295,000? Well, because the county says you're going to do it that way because we want to use it free. And we want all the nonprofits in the community to use it at a reduced rate. So, it's, you really got to look at what we're doing out there, what the agreement is, and then it makes total sense, and it's still a very, very good deal in my opinion.
Without a doubt, I think Mr. Paces will, you come in, you don't know, and you see, and you two guys, and y'all get out there.
I mean, I was a little critical initially when I didn't know and understand how.
There were voodoo dolls in you.
I'm happy with this arrangement.
Sure.
I think it's a wonderful asset, and we need to actually spend a little
Sure.
more money on it, in particular on that egg barn, which we've already had some discussion about, and things like River Star Park.
When you look behind the curtains,
Yeah, absolutely.
it's worthwhile.
And also to clarify,
The residents of this county get tremendous benefit from that facility.
and to also clarify, on our line item, that does include maintenance of the inside of the expo hall, the show barn, and the indoor arena. That's part of our contract. So those maintenance numbers are in our budget, but so that everybody knows, Shane has a large portion outside that also needs to be considered and looked at. We work with Shane annually to come up with projects, things we'd like to see done. And also equipment isn't attached to us out there. it's attached on his side, so the tractor, the skid steer, the gators all fall under him for maintenance. He takes them and gets their tags for the fuel truck, all those things. And as we talk, all those things are lifespan as well. So I'm sure Shane will talk about those. And then capital outlay, we leave out of this as well. So the highway marquee signing project is not included in this, all things like that. So I just want to make sure that you guys see it's the bare bones, paying for the staff, the maintenance, the $15,000 worth of toilet paper we go through a year, things of that nature.
Okay, so now I'm gonna go back to my question about River Star Park. Where are the funds required to, for example, paint buildings and reroute the tile floor in the restrooms? What are those in this budget?
Good question. Rerouting the restroom is in this, our budget. It's inside, therefore it falls under us, so we are taking care of that.
Okay. And painting the exterior of some of those buildings over there? That's in your budget.
With the outside.
Strange.
Did y'all have a bump from the eclipse?
We did not. The weather, we charged the park, we parked 57 cars, 91 cars are prepaid. So after expenses, the county made $1,500.
Okay. Just curious.
So we didn't lose any money, but man, we were really hopeful filling up those parks, and just didn't happen.
What about the internet in the building? Is IT doing that?
IT takes care of the internet. We have had asks from other groups, so we worked with Bruce. The Wi-Fi out there is phenomenal. People love it, except we found out the disc only holds 200 people per disc.
I was at an event and I couldn't use.
So it hasn't met
600 people that
new standards. So for $9,000, which isn't in our budget here.
So that's in IT's budget?
We hope so.
Okay.
I haven't seen their numbers, but they know about that issue.
We need to add that to IT's budget because it is, so it really only holds 200 people.
Each disc. So if you're on a different side of the, correct me if I'm wrong,
Of the room?
of the room. So there's multiple Wi-Fi discs everywhere. And so if 200 people get on one disc, that's where it starts kicking people off, is what we've been in.
Okay, because I know Stock Show had some issues with it as well. We need to up the Wi-Fi up there. It was a silent auction bid situation. And you only could do it on your phone. You couldn't do it on paper and you couldn't bid. Yeah.
We've had problems out there with Wi-Fi
Yeah.
for far back now.
So
It has been much improved. We're very happy with IT.
We need more disc, is what we need?
Newer version. I've been told that with larger, they have a whole lot.
New disc, okay, all right.
I do believe that, I do have a quote from Bruce that he passed over. We were hoping if the eclipse was a moneymaker, we could take that.
There, okay.
We have new IT director.
Yeah,
I know.
we plan on bringing him around to meet you probably Monday.
And be sure to keep this on your agenda.
Right. Tell him you're.
We'll do, yeah, because it's been a big ask and we have passed it on.
Good.
We're hopeful by next auction we'll have it fixed.
That's a problem.
Okay,
Thanks, Jack.
that's your part.
I can't resist, but I've got to just point out my appreciation for Road and Bridge because they've been recently very helpful out there in terms of repairing the rear entrance that was problematic and people had crushed the culvert and created some other problems, so that got taken care of, and the timing was perfect. They had people and materials available, and it got taken care of almost immediately. And they're taking care of, we had some problems with the rainwater storage tank out there, and they're going to take care of that. It's minor work, but it's a blessing to have a very constructive and productive road and bridge department to be able to help out. And it's all one big county, so.
I think it is, I mean, maintenance, road and bridge, and Jake's staff all work very, very well.
Exactly. As they should.
Yeah. I want to give them credit.
Yeah.
Thanks, Jake. Shane, you finish up?
Yes, sir. Very small change. I'd like to add another 5% to the I'm sorry, 666,450. That's bringing it up to 18.5. I don't have any big projects out there right now, other than that there's some painting that needs to be done, but that's going to happen on this budget. A new gate entrance is going to be put in, and that will happen on this budget. So I don't know that I need to add a lot of money for the next year's budget. I do also have a major repairs budget that for any thing that maybe problems with along. But with the building, maybe I can help clarify some of that. On the event center aspect of it and the indoor arena, I mean, yes, they take care of all of that. Everything outside of that, even River Star, that falls under interior building problems. The River Star, that falls on me. But anything on the inside of the event center and the outdoor arenas,
Outdoor arenas?
The indoor arena. Outdoor arena, I'm sorry, my mistake. The indoor arena, they do the repairs on like electrical, lighting, they take care of that. Anything outside of that, outdoor arena, that falls under me to get that repaired. And in the outbuildings, that falls under me as well. Same thing with the ag extension building out there, take care of that. And the River Star buildings.
Okay, any other questions for Shane? Very good, thank you. Moving on, next is non-departmental, 1409.
The only change that happened here is, just a second, something got updated from the last time we discussed this.
Okay, what's updated?
Hunting for it. The KCAD contract. We did get their proposal in that they will be voting on. And so it moved it from $293,000 to $389,000. The 293, it's actually higher than that, and you'll be seeing a budget amendment come through to you on Monday to raise that amount.
We haven't approved that contract yet, have we?
Have not approved it. It has to go before their board, but again, they're the ones who do it's the appraisal district, so generally they submit their budget to their board that votes on it, and we all pay a percentage of the
We
tax.
get to vote on whether we're gonna pay it, and if enough of us say no, they have to cut.
Okay.
There you go. And what was the number? If it's not 293,090?
It's 389,721.
Thank you.
And a number of years, we voted against the budget, though the rest of you vote for it, so no change.
Okay.
There is a process.
And just to remind the public, we have no control over KCAD.
Yeah, even though it says Kerr County, we don't.
Okay, so that's updated. ARPA, no new info?
I don't have any new info for that.
Capital projects, 2016.
Yes, on Fund 16. This is where we normally put any no proceeds in here for those projects. The airport is normally funded out of this fund. And then also the amount that we receive when we sign the contracts with Global Spectrum, the money that comes from that contract is put in this fund also. So on 684, Kelly has given me an estimate, Road and Bridge, that they're gonna have about $751,000 left over from their grant.
Lost. Where we are now.
The second page.
Okay, got it. 684.
And you're 16, under 16.
That's the old one that had those.
Oh, I've got a second.
Yeah,
I'll share.
all right, thank you.
So Road and Bridge has told us that they expect 751,000 left, that will be a holdover from the current year that will need to be spent next year. I believe from listening to IT's presentation, there will be money left there because of some of the projects that were stated, I don't believe have been finished, and they were funded with this note also. So we'll be needing an update from them, or we'll be trimming it up at the end of the year.
Was that regarding the server?
I'm sorry?
What was the project? Do you know what particular
I
project?
don't recall. The Active Directory is one of them. He mentioned 3 of them the other day, and I do not recall all of them off the top of my head. 688, I believe, is your next page. Or 16-688, sorry. It's still the same fund. It's Department 688 within there.
This airport. Is the 370,000, is that the property acquisition?
No. Or yes, it is, because we put it in there for the current year's budget. And so if it doesn't happen, it will be going in here.
350 of that is property, and then 20,000 is some of the projects that are gonna roll over to be have to complete.
Okay. Where they are on that, we're waiting for another appraisal. There was one appraisal that 350,000 would cover it. The developer we were buying the property from had another appraisal which was more than double our appraisal. And now it's, as I understand it, it's TxDOT Aviation doing another appraisal which will be the amount that TxDOT will pay. So that number may be going up. I don't think it would go up substantially, but it may go up some. And this is the property, it is buying this property on the east side of the primary runway.
So also, kind of as a follow-up to that, we have been funding projects for them for the last several years. Last year they got caught up on them, and we had actually moved more money into Fund 16 for them. There is about, not including this year, going into the current year, we had set aside about $600,000 more than what they're needing. And so if they need any additional funds, it is sitting in fund balance. And so we will not need additional transfers. It does not look like.
That's good news. Yeah.
But it also funds their projects into the future.
That gets back into our total budget is simple.
Since it's also, y'all are the ones, Commissioners Court is the ones who determined that money was going for the airport. If for some reason y'all decide that money can go for somewhere else, that would be an agenda item for y'all to decide.
And historically, what we, this done a lot, I don't remember years ago, the budget money put it there because expenditures at the airport, when we have them, are paid, generally. And rather than trying to scramble each year up and down, we tried to keep a balance over there. That way, we still may have to add additional funds in a given year, but just some cushion.
They're getting a lot better though with their planning, and to where we don't get too many surprises anymore.
Right.
TxDOT is funding a whole lot lately, seems like. The next page should be 16,686. And so this is where the Hill Country Youth Event Center is where this money is dedicated.
Oh, it's on page 4.
Yeah.
Oh.
Here it is. Okay.
And so that will be moving to 125,000. The 75,000 is from the prior contribution that they made, and they are in the process of sending us 50,000 for the contract y'all just renewed. I believe it was somewhere February maybe, sometime this year.
And the idea is that you produce sign.
Right, that's right.
Marketing is one of the areas that it can be used for.
Right.
Okay. Moving on to Fund 17, Animal Control Shelter.
Yes, this is another that will be trued up by the end of the year if we actually start construction. If you're looking at it right now, we have pulled $5,600,000 to be spent next year. Based on conversation the last time, at our last budget meeting also, the 173 that's in project contingencies, that's the amount of interest that we've made so far this year, just to kind of keep up with it. But it would be available, but it's, it would be used for the same reason.
Would you use for the building?
Yes. And or.
Other stuff we need out there. And Reagan, I know, has updated some rough numbers. Reagan, want to go ahead and give us kind of, and we don't need to go into the line item like desk, refrigerator, and safe and all that, but just the totals that you have there, and then the cameras, security, all that stuff.
Sure. So, obviously, there's going to be things when we get in the building that we didn't think of, things that it's kind of hard to visualize exactly sizes and all that type of stuff with where to put chairs and all that stuff. We know we need some new furniture. Getting into refrigerators, possible safes, just your basics to outfit a new facility. Roughly $35,000 for that. And I had my administrative assistant really go through here and break a lot of this stuff down. I've been working with Nicole Landrum over with Peter's office on some of this stuff. But so obviously there's some things in there that we're not thinking of, I'm sure, once we get in, but roughly about $35,000 worth of furniture, various things that we need to outfit. And then we did meet in several, probably, well, it's been a little while since we met with Guardian, who does the security system for the sheriff's office, and I think for the courthouse now as well. So we were looking at getting some pricing on camera system for the facility, an actual good camera system. So with what we were quoted at that time for the surveillance, and this is with quite a few cameras too. So we were quoted $37,594, and then we also looked at basically a keyless access control, kind of like you have when you come into some of the places here in the courthouse, where you have a card or a little one of these little key fobs to be able to get in. So to outfit everywhere, because we do have a lot of doors where we don't need the public. We've got other places where you just don't need somebody walking into. So we looked at various access points with that system, and that totals about the same, $37,138.33. And then we also looked at a panic system for basically the front desk. We get a lot of people come in angry, threatening, you name it, and we're usually there, but if we're not, by me, I mean the law enforcement, but if we don't happen to be there at the time, something quick for them to be able to do is hit a button and notify the sheriff's office that there is a issue right then and there, over there, to get somebody headed that way. As you know, a lot of times have the ability to use a phone or something when somebody's getting like that. That'd be a rare occurrence, but you never know when you're going to need something like that. Price on that was $6,536. So, you're looking at, Commissioner West, do you have that total there in that yellow?
Yeah, 81,268.33 for the door access cameras, the panic alarm, and
And that was a 30-day, that was a guaranteed 30-day quote too, but so I don't know what it.
yeah, maybe a little different, but you know, you figure the some 80,000, 89,000.
So that's all in addition to what's being shown here.
Plus, is that part of it, and the 35,000 for the furnishings, which I think is a little bit conservative. I think it's probably more, but I probably put 50,000 on furnishings, and then the 90,000 for the camera equipment. So that's it. 140,000, and then there's one other big item that's definitely not in the bond is the cattle pens and stuff.
I wouldn't add in the bond.
Because it's not a building, it's not part of that facility, it's technically.
What we talked about in Bridge about?
We're going to be able to do part of it, and we may be able to, you know, anyway.
My recommendation on that, just as far as like the build goes, I mean, obviously we need like a little attack area, which could be accomplished by some sort of a small,
outbuilding.
Yeah. And then some covered area for these animals to get out of the get some shade. But my suggestion on it is that we don't do what we have now, which is basically cattle kennel that is really difficult to move around. It stays stationary. I can't tell you the last time we actually rearranged anything. So it's basically, it's very hard if you just open the gates, things like that. It would be really nice to have something that's more permanently done and just build better than what we have right now. So that would be my request. I don't have any numbers on that. I actually didn't think of that until a few days ago, and I'm not sure. I think I have to look at the design for it too.
This is not a big item, and another reason not to include it in the bond, we don't need an architect and an engineer and to do this. We need a fence builder.
And that goes to my next question, is then how much have we already spent on architects and engineering? Is that what the actual 22, 23 number is here, the 348,000?
Change it.
Bond insurance issuance is 149, but we're got close to 200,000 in admin fees. What's admin fees?
That is your architect.
Bills that we pay.
Yes. And so you would add the 22, 23 actual, and then the 23, 24.
Well, maybe not the bond issuance cost, but that 200K.
The 150 at the bottom there is what it costs to issue.
5.6. You're at 5.8 before all the other stuff we just talked about. Well, past the bond issues.
Well, but Commissioner, there's never a bond issue to put in the furnishings are not included. The animal, I mean, there's never anything about the cattle, the road to get up to it.
Well, I guess, forget about all that stuff, you're right. The 5.6 plus 200 is 5.8. It's close.
When you hire architects and engineers, it is it's a fact of government that when we build things, it costs a whole lot more than you and I can build it ourselves.
So it's just when we pass a bond, we should live within the bond. That's what taxpayers expect.
And there was, I don't disagree. Hopefully you will, we'll see. It's, 2 years ago, our cost, the inflation in the last 2 years is pretty substantial. So,
Sometimes it means you gotta design it down a little bit.
I don't know how you design it down. It's pretty bare bones. There's things that can be cut out. Security system. I won't vote to put the security system out because I think that's critical. But it's not required.
Yeah, no, that's not even in the numbers I'm talking about, so.
Right, so, I'm just saying that there's things that, you know, are not required, but I think we should do.
Well, we, and just, I know this is a minor number, but we're gonna use what we can out of our offices now. We can't really use any of our cat cages, those things are just old and deteriorated. Everything else is built in, but I mean, there's some stuff we'll be able to obviously move and use. But with a little bit larger facility and things like that, we're gonna have to get some, we are gonna have to get some stuff. But like just for instance, you know, some of our office desks and things we'll be able to move. One pretty good expense in there was gonna be the animal control officer area, like with the desk stuff in there, kind of like a cubicle type deal. But we're gonna use as much as we can. But there's some things that we just can't, we don't have because we don't have of the room and some of this furniture. Just for instance, table stuff for the break room, things like that. But like I said, we're going to utilize whatever we can from the current facility.
And I also think, Kerr has a lot has told us that when we get to some of these things that are not part of the actual building, that they would be certainly try to be helpful.
It's probably not on the agenda, but what is our plan for the existing facility once we have a new one?
So,
Good.
that's always been the plan.
I just
That was actually, that was in the bond issue.
Oh, you would have heard it long. You said that all along. And it ought to be upon whose property on the loose.
Okay. Moving on. Property improvements, Fund 70.
This is money that has been set aside for permanent improvements. The budget is $30,000. There's about $39,500 in there currently. But we've got $9,500 that can be spent this year.
That's just more for information, right?
What are we going to use that for?
I don't know what to do.
Permanent improvements.
Sorry?
Permanent improvements is what it can be used for.
So it can be used for, it can be used for Earl Garrett.
That's what I'm asking, yeah.
It can be used for, correct, it could be used for Earl Garrett changes or something.
Yeah, as long as they qualify as permanent improvement and I need to look at that.
Okay. We move on to Center Point wastewater, no new information, is that right?
No new information.
Okay. And then updates, we've got Fund 14
Yes.
for EMS.
Yes. The tax revenues needed for this fund have gone up a little bit since we last spoke.
14. Fire protection.
Fire protection, this was the EMS contract. The update was not in there for the amount with the city. And so that amount is going up to $1,535,667. So that was just an update.
It's on the second page, first one.
Oh, okay.
1,535,000.
Okay, got it, I see it, okay.
Yeah, the last time we looked at it,
It
it
was
was
a
the old
different number,
for the
okay.
new contract. Question.
Okay. And then Fund 15, KCAD.
Yes, and this is the same reason that we went up in the county's non-departmental, so this is the amount that the contract that has not been voted upon yet, that would go up for the lateral road, the collection of those taxes.
16612.
This is the KCAD budget.
Yeah, it's just one line item, Judge.
Okay, we'll do that. Then Fund 10,
Yeah, I don't know if y'all want to turn to these. This was the extra money that was asked for from JP4. He went up, what, $126, I think, for postage. And then environmental health went up a little bit for one of her projects also.
this is just supplemental information to go ahead and true up for the, get ready for the closed budget.
These are their asks, so I'm trying to true up what the true departmental asks
What
were.
about environmental health?
Same difference. It's just she had asked for a little bit more money.
Well, all these things the judge will work out.
It wasn't
Estimated to
much.
be the
Right.
closed budget.
Okay, that's what you're dealing with.
So, anything else?
No, we did update your summary sheets in the front. We did not take that old summary sheet, so you can see what the changes were. In putting in the changes that we just went over, it brings our percent of expenditures and fund balance down to 23.81%. The prior one had it at 24.04%. And that number will change again based on today's information.
Okay, when we have
But I still have.
the sheet that has, maybe HR is new, I'm not sure. The sheet that has all of the employee changes, whether it's a increase in salary, a new employee or anything.
At some point,
I was wondering who's doing it,
to be determined, one of us will, either HR, it'd be good.
it's out of, she's out of county.
Okay. There being no other business before the workshop, we'll return.